Hey everybody, welcome to the Unconventional Attorney Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Small, and I am the Unconventional Attorney. Hopefully you guys are having a great week, great everything. Before we get into this podcast, I want to always remind you the way you can give back if you are getting any value from this thing is subscribe, rate, and review, preferably on iTunes if you can. The reason that we want to do that is because ratings and reviews are cool. And when we get ratings and reviews, we get more street cred with iTunes. And then when we get more street cred with iTunes, we get more street cred with guests. And we can get some guests on here that want to talk to me and that want to teach you. So please go and do that. I also, to entice you, am doing a drawing every time we get 25 new reviews. We do another drawing, my top 10 most influential books. We already have had 2 winners, and I think we're getting close to 60 reviews. I think we had 59 the last time I checked, which was a few days ago. We keep creeping up a little bit every time, so thank you for that. As soon as we get to 75, we'll do another drawing, and there'll be another lucky winner. But that is it. What's the other thing I want to talk about? If you want to go faster, if you want to learn sort of and see what I'm doing inside my firm, like for real, and we'll talk about more about this today as we get into this. But I have this group called the Inner Circle. It's a cool group, and if you're a law firm owner and you think you might want to come in, then go to circleofsmall.com. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not pumping it up, not pushing it. If you're a law firm owner and you want to go faster and you want to hang out with cool people, circleofsmall.com. Okay, so what I want to talk about tonight, it's 10:24 p.m. It's Sunday, June 30th. It's the last day, ironically, of the second quarter. I didn't even think about that at the time I started recording this, but it is. I got to tell you, Q2 ended up being a really great quarter for me in many ways. It made a lot of money, which is always kind of nice. Had some great experiences, which is always kind of nice. And moved things forward, which is kind of nice. Grew as a person, which we always want to do. And did some cool things. One of the reasons I'm doing this so late is that we just wrapped up our Q2 live, Inner Circle live workshop, which is where some of the so I have this sort of like coaching group called the Syndicate, and then I've got the Inner Circle, and I'm going to sneeze in a minute, so you're going to have to excuse me. Oh, excuse me. We're just leaving that in too, by the way. I'm not taking that out. That was a good one. But every quarter I do a live workshop where we get everybody together, and it's essentially a full day of content. I just teach you everything I know, everything I'm working on, everything that's good. Each quarter has its own sort of theme. This quarter's theme is sales. So I talked a lot about how to sign up more clients. I talked a lot about how to sign up clients that have left your office. These kinds of things, follow-up sequences and fun stuff like that, mindset when it comes to sales, literal sales process and approaches and strategies. And I talked about some other cool stuff too, some woo-woo stuff, some mindset stuff, because that's what I'm into. I talked about bumpers, if you listen to the last podcast, bumpers is like the thing. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's freaking awesome. But this is where we're gonna get a little bit real, okay? I'm going to pull the curtain back and I'm going to tell you what's up and why it doesn't matter So this Q2 live event, this is actually my third event ever. I did the very first event in January. I just came up with this idea. I dropped it, came up, and then we had another one in April, and then we had this other last one in just now, end of June. And there were like 10 or 12 people the first one, 10 or 12 people the second one. And then I did something interesting with this one in that I opened up and hosted a little mini workshop for local law firm owners in Kansas City. And I came up with that idea relatively late, maybe like 2-3 weeks beforehand, and I had 3 people show up. So if even one person is showing up, I'm doing this workshop. I think I owe it to them, and I'd like to just talk about this stuff. If I can help even one person, it's cool. So we had 3 people show up to that, and it was great. We talked about unconventional branding, content generation, and how to do that whole thing. And they liked it, and it was great. It's cool. And then it was time for the Inner Circle live workshop. And I had all this stuff prepared, and we were gonna have a good time. And there were supposed to be, again, about 10 people that came, and only 3 showed up. So there were only 3 people at my Inner Circle live workshop. And what's interesting about that, I'm going to tell you some of the highlights and some of the good things about this workshop, but I kind of want to just lay this on the table for you. I want to point out and show you that not everything goes according to plan all the time. And I'm not sure why only 3 people showed up. I'm not sure, because there were supposed to be, like I said, 8 or 9 there, okay? Full disclosure, 8 or 9 people confirmed, and then 1 or 2 backed out like last minute, like the day of. Send me an email, hey, I'm not going to make it. And then like 3 people just ghosted me, which was kind of crazy too. But it's fine, okay? But my point is, I'm not letting that get in the way of me doing this event. And in fact, I learned a lot of things from it from a sort of a strategic perspective and trying to get people to come so that hopefully I'm a little bit better the next time. I don't ever want this to be a big workshop. That's part of the problem. So if 10 or 15 is going to be your max, you're probably going to end up at 10 or 7 sometimes, because the people that say they're going to come, then they decide not to come, and what are you going to do? Not going to fill those spots. So if you have 1,000 people come and only 900 show up, that looks different than if you're going to have 8 show up and 3 show up. So it didn't matter. The 3 that showed up were rock stars, and they are amazing, and I had a really, really great time with them, and they learned a lot. And what's funny is they are probably the most high performing people that are in the group. Not to poo-poo some of the other guys and gals that are in there. There are a couple of really, the group itself is pretty good, but these 3 are really kicking ass and taking names, to be honest. So I kind of just wanted to tell you that. I don't feel bad about it. I wish there were more people there, because it just would be cool. I think it just makes for kind of a better experience and more fun. But whatever, it happens. Like I said, if even one person would have showed up, I would have made it. I record all these things. That's another advantage of being an Inner Circle member, and might be why some people don't come, is because they know that if you're an Inner Circle member at the right tier level, which anybody coming in now is going to automatically be in that tier level, that you get the recordings of these workshops. That's one of the reasons why people want to stick around, because the stuff is legit. Like literally, it's my best stuff, and I go deep, and it turns out it winds up being really great stuff. So the point of that is, no one's perfect. I get on here and talk about how great my stuff is all the time, but it's not all great. It's not always amazing. I fail all the time. I just move on fast. And so unless you're catching me like this at the end of a meeting where it's fresh in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I like to actually share these moments, because I think it makes it, everybody tries to always make things look so good on the surface and on the outside, like everything is so great. But we all deal with stuff. We all have problems. We all have meetings that we want to throw, workshops that we want to host, where not as many people show up as you want. So I just wanted to share that with you and let you know that it's okay. You just got to keep going. That's the key. Got to keep going. And we will. This workshop was in Kansas City. The next workshop is going to be April 4th and 5th in Charleston, South Carolina. October 4th and 5th in Charleston, South Carolina. If by some reason you are in Charleston or around Charleston, I'm doing another local workshop, a half-day workshop on October 3rd. I think it's Thursday. And you can go to check that out. I think it's unconventionalattorney.com/, Charleston. That doesn't even, I know that URL doesn't even work, but I'll make something up. So anyway, I'm doing another one of those. So if you're in Charleston and you're curious about it, then shoot me an email or like a message or something, and I'll give you the details. It's going to be $100 to come, and it's going to be amazing. So if you're coming to that the local workshop is going to always be unconventional branding, because that is the foundation of everything. It'll get you clients now, it'll get you clients later, help you build celebrity status, basically become known as the industry leader in your area. It'll get you referrals, does all kinds. This is amazing. So it's a great system. The reason we're going to Charleston is because one of the syndicate members is there, and we're just going to start jumping around and going to their hometowns and checking them out. I've never been to Charleston. I'm excited. So enough about that. So that's the first lesson learned from the workshop, is that things don't always work out. You can make you can get handed lemons, you make lemonade. Like I said, I will say I was at least fortunate in that the people that did come were like they're great people. They're so great. They're so sort of dialed in with their business. They ask great questions. They come ready to work. They are implementers. They'll try stuff. And we had great talks, and I know that they took away some things that are going to go make them some money and make their life better, really. We had some really, the other thing too is that's cool. All right, so that's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is, and hold on, it bothered me. There we go. There's something to be said for meeting with people in person, people that sort of are in your world, understand the problems that you face on a daily basis, and can have a conversation with you where you can be open and honest about the things that are working and are not working, about the dreams that you have, about the goals that you have, and about not being sure how to get there, about being able to toss out your craziest, most off the wall ideas and have people just literally hear them, accept them, and support you in maybe trying to go do them. And that's what a big part of this workshop was about. We took some time at the end. So 2 things. And so the way these workshops work is I've started doing this. This was the first time I did it this way, and I thought it worked really, really well. So the way it works is the workshop doesn't start until 1 o'clock on the first day. So on Friday at 1 o'clock, it starts. It gets over on Saturday at 1 o'clock. The reason I did that was because if you really needed to, you could almost everybody did this time. You can fly in the morning, and then you can fly out the next afternoon. You don't have to stay one night. So, if you have family, if you have other obligations, you can sort of squeeze this in and just really get your stuff going. And because we do it that way, because it's such a short time frame, I offer and really sort of promote the idea of us all going out to dinner and having a couple of drinks. And I typically foot that bill, right? It's because I want everybody to come. And so these things that I'm talking about were kind of shared at the end of the thing when I intentionally left some time once I knew there were only going to be four of us total, including me. When I knew there were going to be 4 of us, I left some time at the end, and literally I turned the camera off because we recorded these. I turned the camera off, and we just sat around, and I was like, hit me with your best questions, hit me with your toughest questions, hit me with your fears, with your thoughts, with your dreams, and let's figure out how to make these things happen. And that's what you really get at live meetings, because you have that downtime and sort of that what's the word I'm looking for? It's not formal, right? You have that informal time, like we're sitting around the table having a couple beers, and just sort of talking and getting to know each other even better, and so fun. It was so fun. So I really want to highlight the value that I always get from going to live meetings like this. I have my own group that I'm a part of, and our meeting is in 2 weeks in LA. So I like going to these. The one that I have is every quarter as well, and they're just great opportunities to get to talk to people that understand where you're coming from, and can then give you feedback and suggestions that are appropriate and relevant, but also they don't just judge what's going on. They don't get after you for the things that some other people might, and that's great. So that was one thing. What else? I'm totally just winging this one too, by the way, because I was like, hey, I'll just give some thoughts on this workshop that I just did. The other thing that I think I've noticed with this one too, and this is sort of a discussion or a topic that I wanted to just do. If you are thinking about hosting your own thing, if you're thinking about doing like a morning lecture series or like a morning coffee thing or like a seminar or something in your town, the venue really can make a huge difference. And now that we've done these 3 times, I did the first one at a hotel that was like pretty decent. The second one was at a hotel that was pretty much not decent. And then this one was at this place called the Kansas City Convention Center, which was just like so cool. It was owned by a lawyer, and the law firm is on the top floor. This is the second floor of this building that this guy owns. And it was sort of empty space, and so he built it out. It's like this little conference center. They had like 5 or 6 conference rooms, and it was just the service was great. The aesthetics were great. You know, there's something to be said. By the way, this isn't just a lesson for seminars, I guess. There's something to be said for just working in a cool space. And what I mean by that is your office, make it cool. Like, look at all this stuff behind me. I love this stuff. You know, this is like me. And the rest of my office is pretty legit too. Like, the walls are gray, right? Got cool furniture in here. You can't see my desk, but it's got this wood desk. You know, and it's just fun, and your environment plays a big role in your productivity. So when you are thinking about hosting a seminar, make sure the venue is good, and when you are hosting yourself in your office, make sure it's good. Okay, take a little bit of time, make it decent. You know, and yes, I did just say dece instead of decent. I realized that as I was saying it, and I decided I was going to go for it. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about, another point I want to make about these live events, and really, and my workshop too, all of them, is that, you know, there's a big. I think you should be going to maybe, well, for me, if you're part of my group, you should be going to 4 a year, because that's how many I have. But you should be going to these things, and there's a guy in the group that goes to a bunch of all kinds of different things. But I think. When you go to something like this, particularly a workshop like the way that mine is structured like I'm going to blow your face off. Like, we're digging in deep. We're going to talk about your business. There's not a lot of fluff. We are going for the jugular here. And when you commit to going to a place and spending even a day like we do, really just diving in and working hard, it demonstrates, I think, a level of commitment internally to yourself, to your business, that gives you a lot of confidence, and it feels really good. You know, you got to get on a plane to go to Kansas City. You got to get on a plane to go to Charleston. You got to book a hotel room. You got to put out a little bit of money. And you got to say to yourself, I am going after this business. You know, I'm going to do some of the things that other people aren't willing to do in order to make my business the best that it can be. And when you make those choices, when you make those sacrifices, you know, potentially away from your family and your friends and things like that, when you do those things, then it makes a difference in the course of your business. It makes a difference in the way that you approach things. It makes a difference in your ability to take action and be vulnerable. And so I want to just encourage you, whether or not you come to my events or whatever, I think you should, invest in yourself. And don't just invest in this podcast. Invest in a book. Don't just invest in a book. Invest in something where you have to go, where you have to put it on the line, where you have to maybe talk a little bit, where you have to pay attention, where you have to sit in a group of other people that are all trying to do the same thing that you are. Like, this is just it's a good feeling. It produces good results, and I would highly, highly, highly encourage you to do it. Okay? All right. So that might be it. I don't know how far we are right now. 20 minutes already. Damn. So we're pretty deep. Let me see if there's anything else I can think of as far as gleaning stuff from this workshop. I can tell you okay, I'll end on this. This is a practical thing. So what's so funny is that as I've continued to work on this process over time, one of the reasons that I had such a great quarter was that my time management is getting dialed in It's still terrible. I would call it terrible, but it's getting dialed in. And so like things are happening, and things are happening on a regular basis, and things are happening on a regular basis that are contributing to the benefit of the business and myself. And one of the biggest things that we talked about at this meeting that turned out to be the coolest, because sometimes you really don't know what's going to resonate with everybody. You don't know what's going to hit. This bumpers deal was freaking off the hook. Like we went deep in there, we built it out, we talked about it, we talked deep, and we strategized, and having the ability to every day wake up and commit and do the things that you need to do that are going to push your business forward, and then be done with it and be grateful and have no anxiety or fear about what's coming next. I mean, that's what it is. That's what it's all about, So, okay, that's it for today. I'm calling it quits right now. Again, if you like this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. If you know someone that needs to hear it, maybe you share it with them. That'd be nice too. If you think Inner Circle might be cool, circleofsmall.com. And if you're in South Carolina and you want to come to my workshop, August the 3rd, then shoot me a message. There's going to be 15 spots, maybe 25 spots I'm going for. Big goals, right? I think we're going to do 15 spots, but that information is going to be out like soon, real soon. So if you're interested, you think you might want to go, like I said, it's only half a day. Again, I'm trying to make these workshops manageable. I'm not trying to ask you to do a bunch of crazy stuff. It's $100. Basically, that's just to make you show up after you say yes. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun because this stuff is amazing, right? Unconventional branding, content creation and strategy behind that, and some paid advertising and stuff like that. It's fun. So, we're talking about more than that. We're doing some fun stuff. I'm not even gonna reveal it, but a big part of it is unconventional branding. Okay, that is it. I am Christopher Small. I am the Unconventional Attorney. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you again next time.